Oh, I love it. Sometimes I totally forget that I did that intro last week and didn't opt it out. So happy Halloween. We hope you had a great time 6 days after Halloween. Today on Office Hours, for our first Office Hours in November 2025, we're going to be talking specifically a little bit about how you don't have to be in the biggest zip codes. You don't have to be in the New Yorks, the Bostons, the LAs, the Seattles. You don't have to be in the biggest cities to be successful in this thing we call merchant services, payments, whatever you point of sales, whatever you want to call it. You can do it from a smaller area. You don't have to be in the big metropolitan area. And we're going to bring in our stars of the show, including our guest who's doing in payments and being successful while not being in the largest of areas. But we'll start by introducing our regulars here on the lower left-hand side of your screen. Someday we're going to have so many people on, I can play tic-tac-toe with this, is Jenny Rickel. Jenny, how are things in the great state of Colorado? We can always say you're always the highest person by elevation here on this office hours. Maybe someday we'll bring somebody in who's higher. Maybe we'll get somebody from Montana that may be sitting a couple thousand more feet. We'll see. But Jenny, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Maybe one day I'll go to Leadville, which is, I think it's the tallest city in America. It says at 10,000 feet. Wouldn't that be cool if I could have the office hours from the tallest city?
That
But things
that
are
would
good in
be.
Colorado.
Great
Just rocking
idea.
and rolling, moving into a new month, had a good Halloween, and just really excited for the last little bit of the year, right? Like last little bit, getting through it, and then on to 2026.
Yep. And back on the upper right-hand corner, ignoring our special guest in the upper left-hand corner, Mr. Mike Stetzel. Mike, how are you right now? How is Warsaw, Indiana? And it's the brisk of fall. At least here in Indianapolis, where I'm based, we had our first real frost this morning. I walked out and there was real frost out there. How about you?
I agree. I think that was our hardest frost. Jenny, I thought about you the other day. My friends who live in do that Leadville race every year. I think it was just a couple of years ago. I keep thinking you're gonna do that Leadville 100 maybe, but
It
anyway,
might
that's
not.
what comes up. What's that?
You never know.
Yeah. Anyway, it's great here. We're having fun. It's nice. It's sunny still, as we always do in the winter. We're just gonna plug along and make it till spring.
Awesome.
But it's a good segue to our poor guest who certainly could tell us all about winter more than any of us.
Well, coming from the great state of Minnesota in the upper hand left of your screen, one of our favorite partners, I think one of the first partners, I remember, I think probably 2015, you and I ended up in the Denver airport at the same time. Andrew, do you remember this? And we ended up having a dinner together after we had just gone from one of our meetings in Las Vegas. It was probably 2015, 16. I don't remember exactly which one. We've done it a few times, but I remember we didn't know we were going to end up being at the same place and we ended up doing it. But Andrew Latka, how are you, sir? Can you tell us where are you based right now, and where does that, in the state of Minnesota, where is that? I think you go for the farthest north for sure here today.
Yeah, I'm from Duluth, Minnesota. We're about hour and a half from the Canadian border, 2.5 hours north of Minneapolis. And winters are definitely cold, and it's getting cold out right now. That's for sure. It's weather.
We didn't ask it ahead. Have you had and no accumulation of snow yet, but you've had snow probably. Is that right?
We had some flurries last night actually for the first time. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It was depressing.
Now,
It's too
I,
early.
you grew. I don't actually know this. Did you grow up in Duluth, or how did you get to Duluth if you didn't grow up there?
Yeah, I grew up here, born and raised here. I moved to Florida for a couple of years. Yeah, other than that, yeah, born and raised here.
All right. So as we go through our round robin of questions, we always start kind of with a background question. Kind of tell us a little bit about how you got into the payments business. I know you didn't start with PayProTec, but kind of how you got introduced to it, how you learned about it, and your journey of getting involved and becoming your own entrepreneur. We like to say paymentpreneur in the payments business.
I actually owned a smoothie shop in Tampa, Florida, or a little north of Tampa in Newport Richey. From there, I moved back to Minnesota after my smoothie shop went under. Um, Took a traveling sales job, found it on Craigslist of all places. So that's how I was introduced into payments, the payments industry. So it was 3 weeks traveling, 1 week off. I got to see a lot of the country, made some big commissions. Fell in love with sales, actually selling insurance, if you can believe that, back in 2006. But sales is a tough business if you're not making money up front.
Hmm.
It's really tough. But I fell in love with talking with people, being around people. It's just, and kind of like the rest was history from there. But with all good things, it sounds good traveling, being a sales guy, but it got pretty lonely. It was like I didn't have a life. I was living out of a
Hmm.
suitcase. So I kind of took a step back from that. And then my old sales manager called me up, and he was a GM at another credit card processing company. And we were talking, and I was like, I'm done with the traveling. I don't want to do that anymore. So I became a sales manager for a company. So they had an office in Chicago. So I'd spend pretty much half my time in Chicago, half the time at home. Um, that was great. Chicago was awesome. Had a lot of
Hmm.
fun downtown there. Green Street Meat Market was my spot to go for dinner if anybody's ever been there. Like, then when prison chicken too, I'll never forget that. But did that for a year. Had a little falling out, and then I was actually going to sell cars after that. It was like took the summer off. It was like my first day going to sell Volkswagens at the Volkswagen dealership, and then you guys know Sean, right?
Yep.
Hmm.
He called me up with Cash Buoy, Sean. But he called me up. He's like, "Yeah, listen to Danny. He was talking to Keith, and the rest was kind of history." I was just like, showed up to my first day at work. It was funny too because I forget. Danny called me up. I was actually doing my training on the cars. You know what I mean, in front of the computer, and he's like, "Yeah, this is the deal. You get this, this, this. You get control over this. It's just." Go from there. And I was like, well, it kind of sounds too good to be true because I kind of got burned by a few companies on commissions and whatnot like that. Now the payments industry kind of burned me, so I was feeling not really
Hmm.
trusting of it. So I was just like, but I don't want to sell cars in the middle of winter because I think it was like November at that time,
Hmm.
and at this time of year actually, maybe even a little earlier. But I was like, all right, whatever. I'm gonna go get a few deals. So I just like got up and walked out of the dealership. No joke.
Wow.
And went and signed up a few clients. Waited to get paid. I was like, all right, let's go. And then the rest is kind of history. It started from there. I think it was 2015, right, or 2014,
Yeah, it was
something like that.
2015. I looked it up.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
and that's awesome.
yeah.
Mike, you
And
got
it
the
No,
next
goes way
question?
back. Sure, it goes way back to Sean, who's another one that
Okay.
that just sort of hits me like, oh, man, Sean's been around 10 plus years now. I started in 2014, and I remember meeting him not long after, you as well, at a similar time. My one question I want to talk about just a little bit more is, can you talk a little bit about the 3 weeks of traveling? I've known a couple pairs of people that did that, and I just want to hear, what did that look like? Because a lot of our people that might be listening or will listen later probably have never done that or heard a lot about it. So how did that look when you were out on the road? What was your rotation type thing?
my rotation was I would take a flight somewhere in the country for 2 weeks. The company would put me up in a hotel. They'd give you gas cards as bonuses. So I never had to pay for gas or anything like that, but they paid for flight and hotel. Then you're responsible for your rental car and food and whatnot, right? So I travel, fly somewhere for 2 weeks. I take a week off. I drive somewhere for a week, down in Minneapolis or somewhere in Wisconsin, Madison, Eau Claire, somewhere around there. Most of the time it was in Minneapolis, even though that's a tough market down there. So props to the guys in Minneapolis. That's a really tough market.
Hmm.
Um, But yeah, and then I just take a week off, so I got to spend a week with my oldest now, right?
Yep.
And then another full weekend. So it was it
So
was good for a
did you
minute.
go back and install the deals too, or did you just sell them purely and they got shipped out? I'm just curious how that service was.
Sometimes I would install them. Like if it was a bigger account, I would install them. Otherwise, I wouldn't install them. It was just basically plug and play, as you guys know.
Yeah.
So it was pretty easy.
Interesting. Thanks.
So,
Yeah.
Jenny, I'll let you go next question, then I'll come back in.
Yeah. So, in your current book and as you've gone through the years, like what is your style? Do you have a very specific piece of equipment and pricing structure? Do you really just try to base it upon each business that you encounter and just go off of that? Like, what's your style when you're out there getting new merchant accounts?
It all depends on who I'm talking to. A lot more merchants, what I'm finding now is I'm selling up against POSs, the software and everything like that. And that includes hairstylists, all the way up. So I'm fighting software. That's
Right.
that's pretty much it. Yeah, and I sign up everybody, hairstylists, craftspeople, lemonade stands, you name it, all the way up to the manufacturers. So yeah.
Are you a fan of the Edge program, or do you really stay with the traditional, or does it just depend upon the business and what that looks like?
I'm a huge fan of the Edge program. COVID was like a big push for that.
Hmm.
And that was a total game changer in my portfolio for sure.
Gotcha.
But I don't push it. I just explain it to them and let the merchant make their decision. What's best for them? They know. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, Andrew, one of the things I've heard a lot of times when we're recruiting partners, or even when it's, man, I just can't grow this portfolio anymore. I don't live in a
Hmm.
big city. I don't have any more businesses. I do that. And I have not been to Duluth, Minnesota, but I don't think I've looked up its population. I've still gone to Google Maps. I've done the research that, 55% of the population is about, 2.5 hours south of you in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and all the metroplex there. What would you say how you've been able to be successful? And because you were flying, and I'm assuming when you're flying to places, you're dropping into large metropolitan areas. How you've been able to be successful and grow a portfolio and continue to grow your business in a more rural, and I would assume a lot of summer travel. There'll probably some winter travel too, but just not a huge metropolitan area. How have you been able to be successful at that?
It's a fine line, I guess. I want to say between the one call close and then the B backs. You know what I mean? So you want to push, but not be too pushy, if you know what I mean. And it helps to have what do you want to say? Not referrals, but recommendations by other merchants as well. Just in your portfolio, get those first couple. Well, so and so down the street, you know what I mean? Signed up, really loves it. Why don't you talk to them? How my service is? Because I mostly sell myself. I don't sell processing. If that makes any sense.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Well, and do you
Yeah.
find that when bring us all up here, but that because you're in a smaller area where maybe more business owners know more of each other and they're more connected, that creates more of that referral engine, more of that opportunity that, hey, they're going to refer you to that. And the second part of that question is, what you say you sell yourself? When they say, hey, you should do business with Andrew, is it just because they trust you, or are there other reasons? You saved them money, you got them a better piece of hardware? Are there other reasons to do that? So two parts. Do you see more referrals because they're a more close knit community? And what are those referrals? What do they look like?
The short answer is yes. Yeah, you treat one right. Everybody knows each other in
Hmm.
some sort of way. It's kind of like the rule of three. Um, you, everybody knows somebody. You know somebody. So you gotta be nice to everybody. You walk into a restaurant. The cook. Give you a perfect example. Restaurant I had. They were a long term client. They like their POS software. They want to stay with it, and they're having some issues, so they canceled. But I still knew the cooks. I was still friendly with them. You know, it was great relationship. Still stopped in and said hi to him and BS'd with him for a little bit. And next thing you know, he opened up his own restaurant and signed up with me. You know, so it was, you know, it's simple as that. I always, I guess I want to say one of my biggest like kind of rules is if I'm driving by one of my clients, I stop by and I say hi. Hey, everything good? You good? Yep. Okay. Need any paper rolls? No. Okay. Good. All right. See you later. Boom. In and out in 5 seconds. You know, 10 seconds. Sometimes it's like 15 minutes, but and merchants respect that. You know, they're like, yeah, you know, I'm just not a number. I'm just not another account for him. You know, he's part of the community. You know, he takes his business serious. So that earns a lot of respect in the community, especially smaller ones. You know.
I'll do one more question and then back to Mike and Jenny. But do you find that, or I'm going to take that back. Start the question over. What in the last decade of doing this, really more than a decade with payments, plus all the insurance sales, the one day as a car salesperson, what do you wish you knew and had learned faster that would have maybe helped you grow as you've been in this now for over a decade?
Geez, that's a tough question. I just wish I would have got into it sooner. Um, and business owners, I want to say some of them are pretty intimidating, but they're still people. You know what I mean? You walk into like a manufacturer, you know, you're like, oh, you get all nervous, and it's like, oh. But if you walk into a business like that or something like that, a bigger business, they're just people. You treat them like people. You behave
Mhm.
like a normal person, you know, and things go a lot smoother. And I wish I could have got rid of those nerves earlier on, for sure.
All right, Mike, you're up.
Yeah, what we have a question from YouTube here for one thing. It says, "Why was Michigan a tough market?" Did we talk about Michigan? I know you said I,
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
Apples.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. Anyway, so let's rephrase that because that was what you said. Is why was Minneapolis a tough market then?
I'd say it's a lot more competition for sure, and business owners aren't willing to give you the time. If that makes it, you got to really fight for your time with those guys, business owners down there. And that's not my personality. I'm more of a laid back, small town kind of guy.
Hmm.
So that I mean, it was a tough market for me, but maybe not for somebody else.
I guess it's kind of like comparing, showing up at the strip mall of businesses where people park their car and go there every day because it's easy, or going to find some people less off the beaten path. Small town versus large town. Same analogy, I feel like. I know we talked before the show that you have four daughters. You have three under the age of four, and you mentioned that one of your hobbies is watching Disney princess movies, and so I'm curious what your favorite one is.
It's Aladdin for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay,
And
but
my
which
favorite.
one? The classic Robin Williams one or the new live action one?
The
Oh,
classic for
Okay, I just
sure.
want to make sure
absolutely.
because we might have had to end this call. I'm just saying we may have to not go
There
live.
was
If
there's
you had told
so
me
much
Will Smith was your
adult
favorite
humor.
Aladdin, we were done. Um,
Oh,
I
so
like that.
much built into that movie for adults. I watched it with when my 32-year-old and 30-year-old were kids, and now I've still watched with my younger kids. And God, the little innuendo is just everywhere. That dude's a genius.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, Jenny, how about you? Another question to any deep hitting, hard hitting questions for Andrew today, like choosing the right Aladdin.
Oh my gosh, I love Aladdin too. So
Yeah.
I'll just say that. And then because you've been in sales a long time and you have been in payment processing a long time, you really touched a lot of different like areas, right? What's been the best advice that you've received in sales that you could pass on to our viewers?
uh,
Hmm.
don't be scared to keep asking for the sale. And the top two, I guess, would be it's you always want to be overdressed. Always. You never want to be underdressed, with your clothes. Never give the merchant a reason to say no because they don't like your nails. Your nails aren't done, or you didn't shave, or you stink, or you know what I mean.
I think that's great
Those
advice. Yeah.
those small little details matter, and merchants are always looking for a reason to push you out the door. Don't let the things you have control over, you know, give them a reason to push you out the door.
Um, Andrew, I know that you have you mentioned earlier you're going up against software, you're going against full POS systems a lot, and I know you've used the POS pros and the Matt Proctor and his team. Can you kind of what have you learned from that? What are you learning from that? Are there things that you have learned about going up? I'm assuming you're going up against Square, going up against Toast, you're going up against Vagero and others. And you mentioned hair salons. What have you learned about being able to do POS and those type of systems and using the POS pros team?
Yeah, shout out to my boy Alex. He's been amazing on Matt's team there. Matt's been really cool too to reach out to if I can't get a hold of Alex with questions that need immediate attention. Yeah, like the biggest thing is it's merchants like what they like, and it's you gotta take take a little bit of the control away from the sales process and hand it over to like Alex or Matt. Let them do most of the selling because they know way more than I do. So I let them handle that part of it for sure, and trust them full heartedly. Yeah, and then it's up to the business owner, and you don't want to over talk. So it's just kind of it's the hardest part, I guess, is just shut up and let them think. You know what I mean? So let them come to the decision or any objections and then overcome it from there. Yeah.
You got to be a great listener and you got to be able to engage. I was thinking, having not been to northern Minnesota and that area, but my picture in my brain makes it think that there's a lot of seasonal business. Do you do that? And do you engage with seasonal business? And and if you do, how do you set up seasonal businesses that are only open 6 to 9 months a year or 3 months a year, depending on, I mean, what you guys have, 2 weeks of summer up there? But I'm sorry.
Yeah, sometimes a week, that's for sure. But yeah, it's tough. Like a lot of the smaller merchants, they do like craft fairs and stuff like that. Those guys, they do sell online now, which is kind of nice. I do like a festival as well, kind of like how I run the festival because they're only one weekend in a year. So we set them up with a mid for that year, and then when the festival's over, we close it down and then
Mhm.
just do it all over again next year. Um, so it's kind of like that. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because I imagine there's a lot of tourism. And I'm assuming there's more summer tourism than there is winter tourism, or am I wrong? Is there a lot of winter tourism when you're that close to Canada? Uh,
Yeah, like the last several years, I mean, I don't know if it's global warming, but we haven't had too much snow, so it's been
Mm.
kind of weird. Like last year we had a lot of snow, but it was still warmer temperatures, so it was melting right away. So we didn't have the accumulations that we usually do. So it's been rough for the winter seasonal businesses, for like the snowmobilers and whatnot, the bars. So yeah, but we got our waves. Summertime is definitely our busiest time now. So yeah, January, February. Whew, it's rough for everybody up here.
Mhm.
So
awesome. All right, Mike, you got one more question?
Certainly. Sorry, something just beeped in my ear. That was a new sound for me. Um, sorry. Yeah, seriously. Wow. Anyway,
All right, we
bad
can
news there.
we
We
can
can
we.
skip me for now, I think.
All right, no, we'll go. Jenny, if you have a question, because I always have a couple more. Um, So I'll jump in, Jenny and Mike, if you have another one. What do you think, Andrew? Um, what are the things that you're looking forward to in payments right now? Whether it's how maybe you've been there's some type of POS that you're like, or software, or there's some type of niche and vertical. Are there things that you are looking for in the next years, months and years that you're saying, man, this is going to really help me grow, or I want this, and this I believe this is going to happen and it'll help me grow? Are there things you're excited about in payments right now that are happening and you're hoping are going to help you expand and grow your portfolio?
Uh, I
Whoops.
got a lot more questions, I guess, on how things are going to work out with the crypto payments, how that's going to affect everything. But right now, it's the cloud-based software that's been a real hot seller. The new generation of the hospitality software, especially the back end interface, and just payments is always changing, so it's a fun industry to be in. That's why I've been in it so long. It's just it's there's always something new coming down the pipeline, and yeah, every year it's exciting. With the equipment, the hardware, the software, different types of businesses even open up. I don't know about everywhere else in the country, but it seems like up here, there's a lot of transitioning going on with businesses and business owners. I don't know if you guys have noticed that as well, but yeah, I mean, it's the future looks great,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, and certainly the crypto thing is coming. We're in talks regularly, learning it's coming, and our competitors are putting it right in the opportunity. Certainly, Squares and Block have been at the forefront of being able to do that, and we're gonna. And the best part about being part of this community is we're going to make sure when we are not going to get left behind and things like that, because we want this industry to keep growing and evolving and being part of it, and making sure that our partners can sell that and help their merchants and be at the forefront of it and make it profitable for all of us. Because the interesting thing about, like, Square's rolling it out is being able to pay it through their Cash App, but it's not profitable for the merchant. They're going to take huge hits in that. So why would they accept it when they're going to lose 10%? So it's going to be interesting to do.
Right.
Um, but then, yeah, I just think it's going to be we're always creating, and the way the technology is moving so fast, and Walmarts and the Targets and the Amazons of the world are always going to be able to evolve the fastest, but we're going to be able to bring it to the main street. And my guess is the main
Yeah.
street in northern Minnesota. I wonder if because a lot of these transitions community, you say businesses are changing. uh, you know, you, a lot of times business owners in smaller communities, they jump a generation because the older generation holds on so long that then they hand it off or sell it off to a generation, two generations below them, just because they wait so long. And so you see those
Mhm.
cycles go into communities. I wonder if some of that's what's happening in your northern Minnesota, having not been there or ever studied it. But all right. So there's my ideas. Jenny, you got a question? Or Mike?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right.
So,
Good. Good.
as you've been in the industry a long time and you have a large book of business, are there any success stories that really stick out to you of a business that wasn't accepting credit cards and now they're in a larger point of sale system that helps their business, or maybe you help them save their monthly fees? Like, do you have any success stories that really just stand out that you're really like proud of and stoked about?
Yeah, I'm working on one. It's my barber. I've been working on him for 20 years, but hopefully that'll that'll turn into a success story. But yeah, there's one of my favorite success stories. There's a manufacturing place. I was trying to get their business for I want to say like 2 years, and I was talking with the I want to say what the office manager. She does everything right, and he's not in, he's not in, he's not in, and then like I was just this guy kept lurking in, you know what I mean, and I was kept getting pushed back, and I was like, all right, my plan is to stop there once a week and check to see if he's there on different days. So instead of like, just as I was driving by or something like that during a month, once a month, or a couple of months, So I put my foot down. I was like, I'm gonna find this guy. And as soon as I walked, I think it was like the third or fourth time after that, um, he comes walking in and he's like, I respect your hustle, Andrew. Here's my statement. And he handed me a statement right then and there. And we did a little analysis real quick. And I was like, yeah, there's some savings here. And he's like, all right, let's go. I mean, it was literally like that fast. We're doing the application.
Love it.
Just
I love that. Yeah.
respecting the
Yeah.
hustle. And I was just like, oh
And
my
is he still
gosh.
with you? Is he still one of your active merchants?
Yep, still with me. He's been with me 10 years now, I want to say. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Anytime I get a call from him, though, my knees start shaking, that's for sure. Because
Yeah.
he's straight to the point. Andrew, get in here.
Jeez.
We need to talk. But yeah, he's loyal, and I love it. I love it. When
That's
that
good.
persistence pays off.
Very cool. Mike, you want to give a final question? You got one?
Sure. If you were new to the industry or thinking back when you were new or even now, is there something that we could do that we don't do that you wish we had done back then? Something that we offered. Jenny and I do our training, and so I think we're always looking for just to make sure that we're hitting the right things. We discuss it internally, but I always want to get somebody. When I can, I want to get somebody else's point of view as well.
Like you guys are missing. I don't know. I don't really attend those coaching sessions, Mike. We're always like shooting the shooting the breeze.
Yeah.
But when we talk, but I know what's been the most beneficial for me is constant objection handling, being ready for the objection, knowing how to
Hmm.
handle it. You know what I mean in sales, because that's where, for me personally, I get hung up if I'm not running them through my head left and right. Like I forget what to say, in the moment.
Yeah.
So and when I was a sales manager, that's what I would do with my sales reps was like, all right, let's go over 2 or 3 objections and let's go out for the day.
Good
That's
one.
just,
Thank you. Appreciate that. That's a great answer.
just being on point with that.
All right. And I get the last two questions because I'm wrapping up. And I'm number one. Why, if you're meeting someone who's just considering getting involved in this payments business, getting involved in residuals, you talked about it, you were kind of scared off even when you jumped back in 2015 because you've been burnt before. Why should they do it? Why do you think they should do it? Not even just with PayProTec, just being involved in merchant services. If you want to mention why PayProTec, we're good with that because we're putting on the show. We know that. And number two, can you tell me where are you on your bodybuilding journey? Because I have some pictures that I didn't bring up that you have sent me in your, but I just want to know because you went off for a while in the professional bodybuilding, and let's be honest, we like to celebrate. We celebrate that Jenny does
We
100-mile
did.
races.
Yeah.
Mike and I do 3-mile walks. And then we want to celebrate. We don't do bodybuilding, so we want to celebrate you. So we'll start
Yeah.
with
I
the
didn't know if we're
question.
going here or not. That's awesome. No.
I just went in. I didn't tell him whether I was going to or not. So I figured you'd sent me the pictures back in the day when you were bodybuilding. I figured,
Yep.
hey, you made a
They're on
public record at
Facebook.
that point. So
They're
Oh,
there.
all right. So let's start. Let's start with the bodybuilding. We'll end with the actual stuff that probably helps PayProTec a little more. But tell me a little about your bodybuilding journey.
Yeah, I was a gym rat for a while, several years, and then one of my friends at the gym was like, "Why don't you just do a competition?" And I was like, because it was like, I don't know if I want to do that because I always heard the horror stories. You know what I mean, like with the diet, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it once and see how jacked and ripped I can get. So I reached out to some of my gym friends down in Florida actually, and got recommended a coach, and went through the whole diet thing and working out like crazy, and yeah, the workouts kind of like went times 10. There's a lot to get done in an hour at the gym. Sometimes I was there for 2.5 hours, and then what was it when we're in Boca at that conference in Boca Raton? like I was like right at like peak week, you know what I mean? So it was just like I had to wake up in the morning, do cardio. Lunchtime, I had to skip out on lunch at the conference and go work out. And then before bed, I had to go do more cardio. So, and then I think I missed out on like a free giveaway or something like that from Keith. He was so mad. I apologize. Because I was busy working out at the hotel
Oh,
gym there, the
Keith.
resort gym. Like I was like, oh, I'm sorry, you know, like I mean, all this food just laying around here, like because you guys put on an amazing conference, and it's just like I can't eat any of it. Like, where's the chicken at? You know. uh,
Yeah.
that was brutal, but it was fun. That was like right before COVID that happened. Did the competition, took second. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I don't want ever want to do it again. um, it kind of ruined working out for me because all the gyms and stuff are closed, and it's just like as soon as you fall off, I was like, ah.
Mm.
And then got married, started having more babies, and my gym bod turned into a full-fledged dad bod for sure. So there's no six pack there anymore.
Yeah, you're being modest, I think. It was different than, oh, I was a gym rat. It was a six pack. You were, I don't know how to explain it. Yeah.
Second
Jacked
place.
ribs, all of it.
Like that's impressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I should have taken first if I would have taken the posing a little more serious. You know what I mean? But yeah, in my opinion.
Okay. I believe you. Nate, we can't hear you. Are you talking?
Oh, there we go. All right. Yep,
There
I
we
am. I had a cough a second ago, and I'm notorious for not forgetting to turn my mic back on after I do that. The last question: why payments? Why merchant services? Why should someone take the jump to do this? Why, and then maybe even why PayProTec?
Like 10 years ago, I would have said don't get into it because it's the profit margins were what at the lowest in
Yeah.
history in the merchant services. And it was like you had to close just to eat. Um, it was tough starting out over again back in merchant services for the third time. Um, it was like either I'm in or I'm out, but now it's like you can make a lot of money fast, and especially with the support you guys give, like there's no reason not to make oodles of money. You know what I mean? You guys provide all the equipment and software options imaginable. There's no reason you can't walk into any merchant and not get the deal, you know, in my opinion.
Love it. All right. And Mike Stetzel, I'm going to do, we're giving you about 10 seconds to know that you're doing our closing word as we close out
Yep.
today. But I want to say thank you, Andrew, for joining us. Thank you for being a partner of PayProTec. Hopefully we'll see you at one of our shows next year. We're just getting ready to launch and talk about where we're going to be at. But Mike, what's the closing word for today, November 6th, 2025?
Closing word. Words. Thank you, Andrew, for joining us. I love doing these things. If anybody wants, to chat about anything Andrew said, get a hold of one of us, and we may be able to connect you. We can certainly, you know, give you some insights from our point of view as well. But that's why we're doing these things, not to fill up Andrew's calendar or anything like that, but just to give people the opportunity to hear what different people are doing. And again, these people range from people doing, 15 deals a month to a couple deals a month to 10 deals a month, all different ranges of people. And so thank you, Andrew, and thank you for our team of partners for being willing to do something like this, to come on and expose themselves a little bit to, this type of thing, these types of questions, and some personal chat. And we just have a really good group of people overall, and we're all very thankful for that. So a big thank you to everyone out there in the PPT Nation.
Awesome. Well, as we close out, thank you, Mike. Just a reminder, there's a reason we do this is because we believe that you can be successful if you're in a marketing agency in Las Vegas, a call center in Dallas, you're a IT company in Long Island. I'm trying to think of partners, real partners that are in across the U.S., or if you're in Duluth, Minnesota, living the dream, taking care of your babies. You can do it no matter where you are, who you are, what you're doing. We believe you can be successful. That is our goal. That is what we do and why we do it. And thank you to Andrew for joining us. Thank you to Mike and Jenny always being here, and we'll be here next week, noon Eastern time, right on our YouTube channel. So why not like and subscribe right now if you're watching this afterwards or you're watching this live. That just helps us out a lot. We'll see you next time on Office Hours. Bye, everybody.
See ya.